How's it going, Lunchmates? And welcome back to Season 2 of the Boys Lunch Table Podcast. How are you all?
Glad to be
Good.
I'm good. I'm good. Got to be back.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting. We've been on a break for a little bit, so I'm just going to give you a quick rundown of what to expect in Season 2. So we're going to do shorter main episodes, around 40 minutes each, and we're going to give you guys a little treat. 2 uploads a month, maybe more, depending on our side projects. Like, if you checked them out, you would have seen we have some FNAF stuff, some collab stuff, some anime stuff. It's all really cool.
Yeah.
So, and I'm sure you've noticed if you're watching on YouTube, the background, it looks real good, and a special thanks to Sinric here because he set all that up. I'm gonna give you a little jazz snaps.
You like jazz?
Yeah.
You don't like jazz?
I like jazz.
All right, and maybe some other stuff besides just podcasts to expect in the coming months. Anyways, so this episode we're going to be talking about Ghostbusters Afterlife, and fair warning, there will be spoilers. If you want to skip straight to the talk on that, you're just going to have to hit the timestamp down below. But for now, we're going to go in chronological order of each movie, give a brief overview, and talk about what we liked and didn't like. So, Kenny, let's start things off.
All right. So my movie I picked is the Ghostbusters. It's the first Ghostbusters with Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, Harlan Rames, and Ian Hansen. I'm not saying
Ernie.
that right.
It's Ernie.
Ernie.
Ernie Hudson.
So it starts off with them kind of not really busting ghosts, kind of identifying, or everyone thinks they're a joke in the science community.
Yeah.
Until they get some ghost ooze from the library.
Ectoplasm. Ghost ooze.
Ectoplasm ghost ooze. Is very
Same thing.
Yeah. And they start, and then some more ghostly activities start popping around town, like Slimer and all that.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, so these guys were like jokesters until real ghosts started showing up, and then they became Ghostbusters?
I think what it was that Egon was working on the proton packs and the traps, but he needed like actual readings from a ghost. So when they got the ectoplasm, he was able to actually build the equipment.
So it didn't work until...
No,
Go
He
back.
didn't have the data he needed.
Okay.
He's
Brief
kinda
disclaimer, I've never seen any of these movies.
Yeah, Cleeche's been living under a rock.
Bruh.
But continue.
Yeah, so then they start seeing this weird activity at this one apartment, and they find out that it's been basically built as a shrine to this one ghost, a Gozer.
Yeah, it's a Sumerian god, right?
Yeah, it's Sumerian god of the underworld, I think they say, or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
World of the dead, or not a nice place. He's not a god of. He's not a god of love and hugs.
Basically, like your final boss.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they go and they try to stop him with the keymaster and the gatekeeper.
Yep, the two demigods.
The two demigods that try to.
Interesting
Come
backstory, by
down.
the way.
Yeah, interesting, great.
These guys fought God in the first movie?
Yes,
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
first
man.
movie they fight a god.
God.
This will come back to this will come back to my part. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll go into the things I like and didn't like about the movie, or didn't held up against with the movie, because it's all great. The comedy held up really well. Back then to now, the comedy and the acting held up amazingly, and the story in general held up. The only thing I didn't think held up too good looking back on it was the CGI in some parts.
Well, let's
Yeah,
be honest. That was good
when-
CGI back then.
Back
When did it
then it
come
was
out?
good CGI, but now when you're looking at it, it looks very
Dated.
rubbery and.
Yeah,
Well,
what
when
did
they-
you...
what
Kalichi,
they
I
did-
think Oh, sorry, go ahead, dude. Oh, good, man. Go ahead, my guy.
I was just gonna say what they did for the ghosts was that they made animatronics or puppets of them, and then they just put like a filter on top to make them glow and stuff.
They CGI'd over the puppets.
Yeah.
I was asking, when did the movie come out?
1984.
Yeah. So you can't really blame them for at the time it was amazing effects. Just effects don't hold up nearly as well as acting does, because
I mean,
graphics change.
it's no Avatar, you know. So
Are you talking about the blue people one?
yeah.
Yeah.
No. He talked about the last Airbender. That's a masterpiece.
Everyone's favorite movie.
Lost CGI there, man. Alright, so the first movie I think was pretty good from my perspective. I watched it recently too, and there are a lot of iffy scenes, if you know what I mean. But apart from that, like I like the acting as well, and yeah, it's still a good movie the family can sit down and watch together, and have a good time with, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%, man.
What do you guys
It's
think
one of my
about it?
favorite movies. One of my favorite movies. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
So good.
It's not Kalichi's favorite
get
movie,
It, it,
'cause
it looks,
Kalichi didn't
it looks
watch it.
dated. It's good
I'll-
though. It's good.
I'll
Yeah,
add
but
it
I
to
mean-
my-
It holds up pretty well compared to a lot
like,
of other
okay,
movies. It's still it's a classic for a reason.
Mhm.
It was like, I mean, like, it was 84. I mean, they had what they had at the time, the capabilities at the time. I'm sure, like, when the first time you watched it, it was like, you know, that's the best they could do at the time, right? So it was just kind of, oh, this is so awesome, what the heck? But obviously watching it now compared to the kind of CGI that we're capable of doing it in like 2021, yeah, we could probably look at it like that, you know. So, but still good. I mean, like, the whole thing is, yeah, Ghostbusters 1 was awesome, man.
Yeah. So how did 2 hold up, Sinric?
2. Let's talk about it, I guess. So, in Ghostbusters 2, following, let's just say, that fighting a god, a shape-shifting god nonetheless, in the first movie doesn't hold up well when you're fighting basically a dark magician in the second one.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I agree so hard.
But anyways, let me just get into the plot first. So, basically 5 years after saving New York City from the giant marshmallow man and the Gozer himself, or herself, we don't know which one it is, the Ghostbusters have been sued by the city for property damage. So basically, they've been finessed out of some money they hard worked for and earned.
They got sued for saving the city.
Yeah.
Got sued
They
because
get sued for damages.
Ray technically was the one that spawned in Mr. Stay Puft, who destroyed half the city.
So because they brought it there, and because
Well,
they saved
it was going to come, but he was the one that gave it the Stay Puft form because it let them choose how she would destroy the town, and he chose that.
I see.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah, so basically in the second movie you see them more you see Winston and I think it was Ray, that they were actually, was it Ray?
Yeah, it was Ray doing the parties.
Yeah, Winston and Ray were just doing they're like those party entertainers, you know, Cliche? Like the like let's just say like they're similar to clowns, except they were doing their own Ghostbusters gig.
Oh, they now you get Ghostbusters for hire?
Yeah.
Well, they just kind of show up and like do a dance or whatever.
For birthday parties?
they dance they dance to the
The theme song.
the theme song, which a lot of people nowadays know, except for the new generation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't sue us, Sony,
Although
please.
I do love that they, even though they go to kids' parties, they still bring the nuclear reactors on their back.
Yeah.
Oh, it's active, huh?
Yeah, you gotta get that danger sensation, you know what I'm saying, Kalichi?
Yeah.
Okay, so basically, you can see that the Ghostbusters are not on their feet like they were in the first movie. Things have fell through, they were getting sued, they were also barred from investigating ghosts or any supernatural forces or causes. So that basically forced them out of the business. So, you also see in the second movie that Dana, which was the girl that Peter was trying to get, you know what I'm saying? And basically, she ended up having a kid with another man.
Damn.
Tough.
Sad boy hours.
Feels bad, man.
That's
So-
rough.
He saved the city and still can't get the girl.
He was kind of a bad boyfriend, so
Yeah. So he was pretty bad, especially since the business fell through. He acted pretty bad, kind of depressed, you know. But yeah, so you see that in the first ghost scene, or supernatural scene, I should say. So you don't see the ghost. The stroller moves by itself when Dana's walking the stroller. She stops and talks to a guy, but then the stroller starts slipping away from her. So as she tries to run and catch it, it keeps going through traffic, past people, dodging people, and yeah. So basically, she brought that to the attention of Egon, and
Yeah, Egon and Ray.
yeah, so she told her, and she told her not to tell Peter, but of course Peter has his ways of getting information, and yeah, they launch a full-on investigation, and yeah, so basically, there's like the movie, this movie is like, for me, the plot is kind of like everywhere.
Yeah.
Like it goes from them being sued to going back to investigating illegally to getting that bar from investigating revoked to them facing the dark magician. So it's a really weird plot, and I don't know, I feel like it definitely doesn't live up to the first movies the way how it is. I feel like the second movie was just really like lackluster. It wasn't
It was definitely, it felt like a sequel.
Wait. You're telling me you didn't like Janusz?
Janusz is the best
Yeah.
part of that movie. Let's be
Janusz-
honest.
Janusz
His
is
performance is great.
I felt bad for him, man. He couldn't get the lady either. Couldn't get Dana, man.
He
Bro, I
wasn't the
think-
main character.
But I
think-
found it
I
funny
think-
when Vigo the Carpathian tells him to go get the baby. The first time he goes to the house, he's like, "Yeah, I'm totally gonna get inside and get the baby." He doesn't. He just walks away when he gets rejected at the door.
I love that. He was good.
I keep hearing this dark magician you're talking about.
Vigo.
Vigo.
He's
Is
the
he actually a
villain.
magician? Oh, okay, but he's not a ghost, is he?
Yes.
Yes.
He was like a what
So-
was it? A tyrant or something
He
in the
was-
past.
He was a tyrant in the 1600s, around 1665, I believe. And then basically what happens is how he's introduced in the movie is that Dana works at a museum that restores art, and Vigo had a painting there, and basically the painting was haunted. But like in the scriptures that he left behind, he said that he would come back again. And
It's scriptures.
yeah, like what he wrote back in the day when he was alive. And yeah,
Pictures of Vigo the Carpathian.
Yeah, it's no religion.
But like I so agree with you, Cynric. It's such a downgrade to go from like a god and two demigods to
Okay.
fighting who's a
Some
guy who's like
dude.
a ghost of
Yeah.
of a guy.
It is some dude. What special
A
powers he
haunted
got?
painting.
Nothing.
A haunted painting.
And a river of slime under the city that makes people angry at each other.
okay, wait. So the slime underneath the city is similar to, what is that movie? There's a movie I know. No, it's similar to the Elf movie, the Christmas movie, where
The elf?
yeah.
What?
I mean,
Buddy?
I'm still waiting to go mini putt with my boy, but whatever.
Yeah, but like in Elf, it was also New York too, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Where
Guys, Elf and Ghostbusters is now canon.
basically, so an Elf and
Is it just nothing more than a
Ghostbusters.
ghost?
Well, never know. But in Ghostbusters 2 and Elf, the reason why I'm relating them is because they both thrive off of the people that live in New York City. So in Ghostbusters, the more people that are being negative to each other, the river slime fed on it and became stronger. Whereas if you put if they're more positive, it weakens the slime. So near the end of the movie, or I'd say around the third quarter, the third quarter. The museum is covered by this slime that's hard. Even their proton packs can't go through it. So what ended up happening is that they needed people to be more positive towards one another, so they could break through the slime.
The power of friendship compels you?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
Will Ferrell and the next Ghostbusters confirmed.
Yeah, I liked some of the comedy in that movie. A lot of it hit the same beats as the first movie, just
Yeah.
not as well. And yeah,
Don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
even-
at least
It was more of a family movie than the
Like-
first one.
Exactly. Can he hit the mark on that? It was more geared towards a family sitting to watch together, way compared to the first one where there are some iffy parts.
yeah, at least look
Yeah.
better.
It is. Well,
yeah, it
slightly.
looks better.
Yeah.
I was
Slightly.
thinking, yeah, I could say it's definitely more of a family-oriented film, but at its core, it's also, if you look at it, it's despite its cons, it's a pretty dark film if you think about it. He needs a vessel using this baby to enter the world, so you've got like basically like a possession or some sort of like sacrifice or ritual that's going on. I mean, like, okay, it doesn't really happen, but hey, I mean, I had nightmares the first time I ever watched that film, seeing him getting destroyed. That face, man, that ugly face.
Yeah.
So getting him.
The first movie, the world is at stake. The second movie, a baby is at stake. One baby.
Whoa,
That's true.
whoa,
That's
whoa.
true.
If you could
Whoa,
possess anything, why would you possess a
whoa,
baby? You'd be more
Whoa,
vulnerable
a
then.
baby?
Yeah.
Come on
Yeah.
now.
He
Come on.
wants
now.
to take over
possess
like a
it.
baby so he could live again.
Hey, you see
Why-
that? You see
But
you
what
see
I'm saying
that?
is, why a
That's
baby?
that's
at that
just
point-
as much worse than the whole world.
Nah, do you know what's worse?
Keep
It's
the
fact.
baby alive.
Sorry, what's the guy's name? The Dr. Janusz?
Janos.
Janusz. So, you know what's the worst part? He's like, okay, I'll do, because Vigo basically like gave him the command just to get the baby, right, Kalichi? So,
Okay.
so he's like, he says to Vigo, sorry, he's like, yes, but I want Dana to be my wife. And then, Janos, basically tells him she will be ours. That's like the weirdest line in the
she's
movie.
like, the line is okay, agreed. Wife to you, mother to me. I'm
It's
like,
so
man.
weird.
it's messed up. It is messed up, but it's cool. I
Yeah, go ahead.
like it.
Even though,
This
like,
is a family friendly movie.
like even though like we're talking a lot down towards it, like we still love the movie though. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I still like it.
I love it. I wasn't even really saying anything bad. I was just noticing those points.
It's way better than a 2016. I mean, I'm not actually. You know what? Never mind. I'm not gonna mention the movie.
Bruh.
What are you talking about? Nothing Ghostbusters related came out
I think-
before
I think it was a
news.
spin-off.
Oh, I think it was a fan fiction.
Poorly directed fan fiction.
Any final thoughts, Sinner? No.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Final thought by Sinric.
Nothing. All right, Alec. I know that this one's maybe canon, maybe not, but I love it anyways. So we're gonna talk about it.
This is the one Ghostbusters thing I haven't seen actually.
Yeah, really? Well, okay, yeah, so I'm really not talking about a movie here. I am going to go over briefly on the animated series that happened in 80s. I believe it came out in 1986. But yeah, I'll get to the whole like canonicity issue like later on. But like, yeah, as a plot to talk about. So for those who have never watched the series, or to those who've watched it, this may just be a refresher. The cartoon series was called The Real Ghostbusters, and it was an animated series that ran from roughly about 1986 to 1991, 2 years after the release of the original movie. The main plot kind of remains true to the movies as far as like following the adventures of Egon, Winston, Peter, and Ray, as well as Janine and their new ghost buddy Slimer.
Hey.
Yeah, so the ghost that they fought in the first movie is now working with them. So yeah, busting ghosts in New York City. To be honest, that's pretty much the gist of it. With fans craving more Ghostbuster adventures after the release of the first movie, we finally got to see the gang back at it in new animated cartoon. The series also opened the doors to a lot of the Ghostbusters lore, basically expanding on the science and giving us more insight into the whole universe, showing us new gadgets, vehicles like Ecto 1, 2, 3, and 4, which are all like some are helicopters, some are basically motorcycles with sidecars on them. It's not like really important, but just kind of cool. And development to the whole paranormal and interactions with them, and just good old-fashioned ghost busting, so
Good old
Yeah.
fashioned ghost busted.
yeah,
I like
man.
that.
that's what I'm
I
saying.
like that.
Yeah, see, I thought of a good way to end that little plot description there.
Oh, wait,
So-
Alex, so throughout
Yeah.
the TV show, they face like this every like a ghost of the week type thing.
Bro,
Right?
Glitch,
Oh,
they
it's-
face the devil himself.
They,
You're
they,
lying.
I
Yeah, they
know,
go to like hell at one point and like face the
Why?
devil.
they've faced the thing I love about the series is that, like, which I'm gonna kind of get into now, is the whole like, yeah, they fight pretty much so many new and different ghosts. It's awesome. You get a whole new perspective on like what they can fight. Like they've fought trolls before. They've fought Satan. They've fought like
The boogeyman.
Yeah, the boogeyman, man. And, oh, dude,
Joking.
and what's it called? Egon had a whole whole what do you call it? Like a panic attack versus him?
Crisis.
A whole existential crisis versus this man. They've fought other like really strong demons before. One that has even possessed Peter. That was episode 3 of season 1. I can't remember the name of it, but for a kids show, legit, it's a full-on possession. I'm like, okay, here we go, man. I'm like, so anyways, yeah, so I'll just kind of go over like what I liked about and what I didn't like about the series. So the series was a great concept, as I mentioned before, to fill in the gaps between movies. I believe Ghostbusters 2, what Sinric talked about, came out in 1989. So between 1984 and 1989, that was a pretty big gap. So having the series come out in 1986 was pretty great. So yeah, definitely something fans of the franchise at the time were, definitely excited about. Overall, the series itself is fantastic in my opinion. Apologies if I sound like a broken record here, but the fact that we get to see them battle new ghosts and expose us to like wickedly awesome creatures was awesome. I think for me that probably was the highlight of the series. Just being able to fight ghosts of all different forms and classes and expanding on the classes. Like, if you ever watch the movies and you hear Ray say, that's a, full torso class 5 floating vapor or whatever, like, we get more of that, right? Which is awesome. And, just brought a whole new perspective to the franchise. And I just want to add real quick, I wouldn't let the cartoon aspect of the series wear you off. Sure, this was something for the kids or like teenagers at the time for the 80s enjoying watching it, but if you really look at it, it's pretty dark, like dabbling into them fighting demons. And I think like Kenny said earlier, they even went to hell at one point. I could be wrong, but I mean, I'm pretty sure, and possessions and all that stuff, which at its core is like the very danger they faced in this kind of profession, So some of the episodes were downright spooky for a kid to be watching, which again is Ghostbusters as an animated series at its finest, right? The comedy aspect of the show was brilliant as well. A lot of the dialogue from Peter was just hilarious watching. Like it made me realize how much he actually referenced pop culture, like rewatching it again. Like I think the voice actor was played by Lorenzo Music, who was actually the same voice actor for Garfield at the time. It was so if you ever watch that series of Garfield, you'll definitely hear his talent as Peter Venkman in Ghostbusters. It was a lot of good comedy in that series. Okay, so cons. I think one of the only cons that I can really think of, and I'm sure fans of the franchise wonder this too, is the issue with the canonicity of the animated series. So now, don't take this the wrong way, it seems like it's split 50-50 in those who place it as canon to the movies and some that say it's not. There's merit to both, but until the owners or directors say that yes, it is officially canon, it's up in the air. So what I mean by canonicity is, we don't get a lot of references to the other vehicles in the other movies and things that just kind of stand out in general. Like, for example, why is Egon's hair blonde now? Slimer's voice was never this high in the series. Then again, that's kind of something like that's more, you can like either look over it or not. Other things like some of the quality of the animation, but hey, like we said earlier, it was the 80s. It's the best they could do. Come on, And another thing, another issue which kind of brought the whole issue of the canonicity of the series, an episode called Take Two, which is an episode where the Ghostbusters are basically watching a movie being based on their work. So it's basically the cartoon is watching Ghostbusters 1. So the rough weird thing about this is that the timeline suggests that the movies are actually fiction, but the animated series is real. So which is why it's so confusing, right? So I think a way to look about it is, I think it's right now as it stands, the animated series has its own timeline as far as like animated timeline, but Yeah. We also learned that. Sorry, it's a fact I forgot to mention earlier. Slimer. We kind of learned how long Slimer's been dead. Slimer has been a ghost for roughly 3 years. So, which also might play an issue with, where it stands in Ghostbusters 1. Anyways.
What's a slimer?
Oh.
It's the name of a Pacific ghost.
You know that famous? Have you ever seen pictures, Kalichi? That famous green ghost that kind of follows them around.
Oh,
Like,
it's like. Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about.
It's Slimer's probably the most famous ghost. Actually, probably is the famous ghost.
Apart from the Marshmallow Man.
Yeah, apart from the Marshmallow Man, Slimer's probably the other thing that fans just kind of wait to see. It's
Okay.
He's kind of like, so I don't want to compare him to this, but like the best way I could describe
I know
is like
exactly what that is.
like Pikachu to Ash, Slimer to Ghostbusters, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So,
I get it.
yeah. Anyways, I'm just gonna wrap it up here, but like the series, like on the other side of it being canon, the series makes a lot of references to the actual movie. So for example, in an episode called Partners in Slime, Vigo, who we were just talking about, is mentioned by Egon. So basically Egon and the gang are covering Peter in what's known as psychoreactive slime, is what that stuff is called. And Egon mentions that he recovered a sample from their fight with Vigo a year ago, which means that the series not only takes place between the first movie and the second, but also after the second movie, if you look at it as on the canon side of it, right? So yes, this roughly happened in season 5. So season 5 kind of takes place after Ghostbusters 2. You can also see Janine's hair changes to match that of the movie as well, like her kind of bob cut, short thing. Another thing, it also explains an episode called Citizen's Ghost, which is probably my favorite. It explains where the series actually sits relative to the movies. The animated series takes place right after Ghostbusters 1. Basically, it explains, how they got their new suits and why they're, different colors. Basically, it's like the episode takes place right after their fight with Gozer, being covered in the Stay Puft Marshmallow, puff. And, yeah, I'm not gonna go too much into detail, but yeah, that's basically that's basically the animated series for you. So overall, I liked it, but did you guys ever watch it or?
Yeah, and I'm gonna make an argument for it being completely canon. If you ignore that one episode where they watch their own, which is kind of like their own movie, which is kind of like a meta, funny thing.
Yeah.
I'm saying that it's canon because Slimer in the first movie is just a ghost. In the second movie, he's living in their place and he never gets caught by them. He's living in the fire station and they give no explanation. He's even listed in the credits. Like, he's given his own credit card as Slimer. So
Agreed.
I'm saying it must be canon because the show shows you why he starts living with them and it's never explained in the second movie.
Exactly, and I fully agree. To be honest, I wasn't gonna really bring it up, but honestly, my opinion is that I kind of agree. I'm leaning more towards it being canon because I feel like exactly what you mentioned. That whole that specific episode of them watching their own movie, you could just consider that as metafiction. It's not like you could like a comedic gag kind of thing, right? Like, or you don't have to look too much into it. So yeah, that was a great point because I agree with you. I'm more on that side of it is canon because it would just make things so full, it would be so, it just feels right, so yeah.
Didn't you also say that the Ecto 1 having the chair swing out is also from the cartoon at some point?
Yeah, I tried to go through the series as much as I can. I failed in my mission to try and rewatch it all. I've watched the whole series before. I just recently tried to watch it again just to
Refresh the memory.
Yeah, refresh the memory. There's a lot of things that the car was capable of doing that we didn't get to see much in the movie. So yeah, I like to think that, even if it wasn't part of the actual series, I like to think that, you can just kind of assume that Egon has also worked on the car, and I wouldn't be surprised, judging that they made helicopters and sidecars with gunners. It's like, the notion of having a swinging out sidecar as we see in Ghostbusters Afterlife, which you'll talk about now, man, isn't too much of a crazy notion.
Yeah, And I guess on the topic of that, I'm going to now go into super duper spoiler territory, so be warned before I get started. Click off now if you don't want to hear any of that stuff. So, Ghostbusters Afterlife takes place many years after the first two movies and I guess the TV show. So, it's tracking the life of Egon Spengler's grandkids. So, first off, I just want to say that in terms of the acting, I was really impressed. McKenna Grace, Finn Wolfhard, they killed it, I think. Like, I mean, everyone loves Finn Wolfhard from Stranger Things and It and stuff, but I think it was really, really good. Paul Rudd, always a delight.
Paul Rudd's always
beauty.
amazing, and is always welcome to go mini golfing as well.
Yeah, like, hit me up, Paul. You know, if you want to like join me on my mini putt.
I think with Paul Rudd, we can take it one step further and invite him for a bowling night. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah, Paul Rudd. Like, you know, if you want to go bowling, I'm pretty bad, but you know. Okay, so
You're not amazing at mini golf either.
hey, Kenny.
Friendly fire.
So, anyways, so this movie takes place in a small town, rather than New York, which is kind of jarring. And the movie starts off, you see an old Egon trying to capture something, and he fails and gets killed by it. So, as the movie goes on, you find out that there are these old ruins in town, and Ivo Shandor, who was the one that built the tower from the first Ghostbusters movie that was intended to bring in Gozer and her demigods, the whole shrine is dedicated to her, and apparently he was trying to in the past tell the other Ghostbusters and all kinds of people that Gozer's going to rise again, and this time it's going to be the end of the world, like for sure this time. And no one believes him, so he steals all of the ghostbusting equipment, and he goes to try to stop it. So these kids have to kind of find out through like sleuthing all about Egon's life and what he was trying to prevent. And in the end, we end up getting a group of kids. What were their names? I think it was Phoebe, Trevor, Podcast, who was he was fun.
I love
And
Podcast.
Lucky? Was the other girl's name Lucky or something?
I think so.
Yeah, I didn't quite get. She was the Winston of the group. Came in late.
I actually didn't notice. That kind of flew over my head a bit until you just mentioned that. Like, yeah, I guess she did kind of like, because in the original movie, Winston came late as well.
Winston actually has very little screen time in the first movie. If you go back and watch it, he's in it for a very short time.
Oh yeah.
At least she was kind of in it like on and off throughout the movie before she started helping them.
Yeah.
So so the kids and obviously Phoebe is kind of like the Egon. She's the very smart one of the group. She's kind of leading the movie, which is refreshing because you would have thought that the person Trevor, who kind of was supposed to be the new Bill Murray, would be the main character, but no, she was really good.
Yeah.
So Gozer ends up coming back along with the help of her two demon dogs, who take over the kids' mom and their teacher Paul Rudd. And she comes in and she just kind of sits there at first, which is different than the first movie where she comes out and starts wreaking havoc on New York. I was like, why is she just sitting there?
Yeah.
Anyways, so their plan is to disable her by getting rid of her two demigods, which she needs to stay on Earth, I guess. And they are successful for a little bit, but end up getting overwhelmed by her. And the old Ghostbusters, the ones that are actually not even just the ones that are alive, all the old Ghostbusters come back, help the kids take her down, and happy ending. It's cool. I liked it.
I don't know about all the Ghostbusters. What Lewis?
Oh my god.
Okay, all right.
You guys saw the second movie. He took down everything. He finished everything by himself, man.
You're right. Lewis took down the entire thing that was guarding the museum in Ghostbusters 2.
Yeah, very
Everyone
helpful.
Actually, he didn't appear. Everyone else appeared in the movie.
Yeah, he was the only one that didn't appear. I just thought of that.
Yeah, Rick Moranis.
I think because Rick Moranis, I think I've heard correctly, he's just kind of retired from acting. So
I heard that too.
Yeah.
So in this movie, I'm just gonna go over some Easter eggs if you didn't catch them real quick because I love it so much. The tiny Stay Puft Marshmallow Men. They are not the original giant Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, but obviously, as Gozer comes in, she's causing these little guys to come to life. That's a great, fun scene. Cool reference to the first movie.
Yes.
I don't know if any of you caught this, but in Egon's bunker, Phoebe sees a row of jars on the shelves with mushrooms, and that's a reference to the first movie when Janine asks Egon if he has any hobbies, and he says that he collects spores, molds, and funguses.
That's so cool. Oh my, what a way to connect those movies, man. That's awesome.
It's really good. There were not a lot of references to the second movie except for one, which was that we see Ray's Occult, which is Ray's bookstore from the second movie. It appears, so technically everything that happened in Ghostbusters 2 is canon, but obviously nobody cares about it. Like,
they mainly focus on Gozer, not.
It was, but like even as the kids are finding out about the Ghostbusters, everyone talks about the New York attack, right? They never talk about the second New York attack.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I guess it's because a bunch of ghosts showed up, but no one ever actually saw Vigo. He was in the museum the whole time, so I could kind of see why they glossed over it in history.
Yeah.
There were 2 post-credit scenes, if you guys didn't see. The first one was a great reference to a gag in Ghostbusters 1, where Dana, who I guess ended up with Peter in the end, is doing the shock experiment that Peter used to do on grad students.
It was that was so when I saw that, I was like, yes, it was such a funny thing because the tables just turned, you know. It was great.
It was so good. And then the second one, I think it was a deleted scene from the first movie, but I could be wrong, where Egon gives Janine a coin and she still has it.
Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah, 100%. It is a deleted scene.
I love that. I love it. As soon as I saw it, I was like, what is this?
Right? What is...
No, I'm not gonna say that. So Winston, who is now super wealthy, I guess, goes back to the old fire station and turns things back on, and we see the original ghost containment unit flashing, presumably going to break open. We don't know if there's a specific ghost that might come out. Maybe Vigo's in there. Actually, they never caught Vigo. So
yeah, they did. They just kind of sent him back into
it could be a random new ghost we haven't seen, or it could be any ghost from the animated series too.
I think it would be really cool if they used a ghost from the animated series.
Yeah, honestly,
Satan pops out of there.
Oh no!
You know that's something definitely like worthy of like theorizing about, like what really is that whole end credit scene mean? Like what really could be in there, you know?
Yeah.
I also love that they said that old shop turned into a Starbucks.
Yes.
The Starbucks never removed the ghost containers in the basement.
Well, what are you gonna do? In the first movie, they turned it off and it blew up. So do you really think that Starbucks was gonna be like, yeah, let's do that again?
No, they just use that to store the coffee. That's where the coffee grinds were.
They grind the beans down there.
I was telling Katie earlier. I was like, yeah, you know what they did? The Starbucks employees just went down there. Were like, hey, is this a new coffee machine? and then Satan comes out and it's like, oh wait, no.
I think this movie had a lot of pros. Animation obviously fixed all the problems of the past while still looking very true to the past movies.
Yes.
The ghost designs were great. Some negatives I found, and I don't want to be negative, but there was a very little ghost busting. There were 2 ghosts that they busted, essentially. Right? There was Muncher, who is very similar to Slimer, and then there was Gozer and her minions. So I was hoping for a bit more of that, but I kind of see they took it a bit slower.
I mean,
and
technically, they caught like hundreds of ghosts with that big trap.
Okay, but that's like one thing.
Yeah.
I guess you could look at it maybe, I mean, hopefully, which I really hope they will make a sequel. This could be just kind of like the lead up. Now that the kids are kind of like well equipped and are getting used to being Ghostbusters, hopefully in the sequel, we'll get to see them actually like
just a lot more.
Yeah, like there's no need for setup. It's just right into it.
I think
So-
the director, who is the son of the original director, by the way,
That's where Ivan came from, by the way. Ivan the Ghostbuster.
yeah, yeah, Ivan Reitman, right?
Yeah.
So anyways, he said that if it does really well, which it has been doing, they might make it a new franchise. Like,
Yeah. He says he wants to do sequels.
I would
Do you-
love that.
You guys want You guys want more movies?
Yes,
Of course, man.
dude. After this one really hit the nail on the head. And if they expand upon it with the new characters, it could be really
All
good.
I'm saying is that
Oh, yeah.
maybe it's gonna be Vigo Part 2, considering the first movie was Gozer, and then it was Vigo.
I really hope not. He's so lame. How are you gonna go from fighting a god to fighting a dude? Like,
I'm honestly on the side of like, you know what? Like Vigo's okay, but like we've seen him. I say it's time for a new ghost.
yeah.
Wait. So who did they find in the third movie? Was
There's-
was that not a god too?
It was Gozer again. It was the same villain from the first movie. They never
Oh,
stopped
he
her.
just
They just
came back.
yeah,
Alright,
they
so-
sent her. They sent her back to her through her portal.
Are we really gonna go talk about Ghostbusters 3 and not mention the fact that what's his name? Shangor? The guy that built the shrines just got ended.
In 1 second, I'm like, "Yo, J. Jonah Jameson is here," and then he just got off.
He spent his whole life dedicated to this god, and the second he meets her, or he just kills him.
I would have laughed if he just like before like introducing himself went up to like Gozer and was like, "Hey, yeah, where's Peter? Where are my pictures of Spider?" And then just like dies.
Yeah, okay,
I
Koji, I'm gonna explain this for you because you probably don't understand what we're talking about. So, the guy that made the shrine in the first movie, like the building, also made a shrine in Oklahoma, and basically it was to bring back Gozer, right? So,
Okay.
see, after he comes back to life when Gozer comes back, he's like, "Hey Gozer, I did this for you. I'm inspired by you." And as he's talking, she just ends him.
He rips him in half.
It literally rips him in half.
Oh my
Oh
gosh.
my god.
So yeah, that was our little overview. And right before we wrap up, I think Kalichi, you wanted to rank them, and then we were all going to rank them. So
Yes.
just based on what we said, what would you rate the 4 Ghostbusters properties?
Only 4.
I'll put at the very bottom. I'll put the second one, as you guys have shown you a distaste for it.
I mean, it's not terrible.
He's not,
It's terrible.
But I did not hear any praise coming from you guys.
I
That's
liked
it.
it.
and
Um,
weapons. There
the
we go.
Yeah,
third,
it did.
on third, I would put the animated series, as that's possibly canon, may not be canon.
Yeah.
Second, I'm gonna put the newest movie, and then first, because it's just first is the original. You can't get better than that. But you got that they fought gods, and that kind of blew my mind. And that
Yeah.
it is, I did not think they actually fought gods.
Heck yeah, dude. The one thing I love about Ghostbusters is that they're just guys, but they are put up against people who they have no business fighting, and they
problem
win.
In the animated series, Alex talked about they go to hell. They face this guy, they face this person, and I'm like, those dudes from New York. You can hire them for your
tools,
birthday
they got
party,
the
man.
talent, dude. Come on.
Hey,
You can hire
Koji,
them.
3 of them are scientists, and one guy just is straight up off the street looking for a job.
Is he actually like? What is this?
Yo,
bro?
we
He's-
just
he's
get
okay.
tired.
Yeah, he says the only reason he applied is he wanted a steady paycheck.
Oh, wow.
But Dana's right. I think the beauty of the franchise is that they're just normal dudes and the odds are just stacked against them, but they make it through, you know?
Yeah.
And in the fourth one, they come back as old men.
Yeah,
Dude, that was
they're old.
amazing.
They're
Is
like,
there-
they're like retired and everything.
Honestly, I liked it a lot. It was a good tribute.
I think that, and I think they handled the death of the one actor amazingly well.
Harold
as well.
Ramis, yeah.
Harold
Oh,
Ramis.
one of the actors is died. Oh, that's tough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they handled his death in the movie amazingly. I
But
think.
yo,
I thi-
like the CGI was pretty good for him.
Oh, it was. I
Oh, they
think
died in it?
Yeah.
They
at the very
CG'd
end.
him. They CG'd him in as a ghost to help him out.
Oh,
yeah, as like a spirit, it was
So like,
Oh,
yeah.
his ghost is technically there throughout the whole movie, but you only see his ghost at the end.
yeah.
And it's like
It was,
when they're using like the proton packs.
Vision packs.
they're all lined up. All the old Ghostbusters are lined up, and then Egon's ghost is there with them, and they all look at him.
Oh,
Yeah,
cool.
it's pretty nice.
Mhm.
So for our rating, I think can we all agree that 2 is okay. To be fair, 2 of us, besides Kalichi, haven't watched the cartoon, right?
I've watched it. Yeah.
So I think we have to put it at the bottom, unless Alec or I wants to make a really strong case for it.
I mean,
I want to see the cartoon.
I
So,
like it. I like it, but like I just for the sake of the ranking, like the series isn't bad, but like I'm not gonna argue if like I guess until they see it, it's as the current ranking stands, we could put it at the bottom if you want. I think it could still work as.
Let me make a good point though. A point that probably sway it. Daniel, if you put the cartoon third, you're gonna have the same answer as Kalichi. Do you want that?
You're
But
right.
it's a good answer though.
It is a good answer, and honestly, if it was my ranking, I'd probably put it third. But
out of
for
spite?
the sake of this,
Yeah.
out of spite, I'm going to put the cartoon at the bottom,
Agreed.
and then
Unbelievable.
obviously 2, right, guys? 2,
Yeah.
everybody, yeah.
I am Vigo.
Yeah, those are the top 4 only Ghostbusters movies and TV shows.
Yeah.
I think there's
Yeah,
a second
th-
TV show.
Oh,
There's,
great.
there's another series called Ghostbusters Extreme, which is kind of like I think it was like 90s, but like
I forget about that.
yeah, I don't worry about it.
Of course, it was 90s. It had the word extreme in it.
You're
you're
right. Was it just
Oh,
an X
yeah.
and then stream? That would have been 90s.
Extreme.
All right, so I guess that about wraps it up. I want to thank all of my Lunchmates for watching, and just thank you guys so much through season 1. I hope you're ready for season 2. We're all really excited, and I think we have some good stuff for you guys to come. So catch you guys next time, and I hope you guys have a wonderful recess.